Welcome back to another episode of the Jessica Ella podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Ella. And today we're going to be talking about the energy body and the physical body, and specifically the question of, is physical pain a manifestation of emotional pain, and are they linked? And especially when it comes to health and disease and just physical tension as well in the body. A lot of people have this idea that the two are very separate. And you say to some people, oh, you've got a pain in your left elbow. Like that's related to this, your father, or to this emotion, and people just think it sounds so woo-woo that physical pain in your body could be connected to any sort of emotional pain. But if you actually think about it, our entire bodies are made up of energy. You break down any single cell in the body and you break it down to its smallest particle, atomic level. And inside that atom is vibration, is waves of energy. And so you break anything down in your body and it's just waves of energy. And these different waves of energy, or these particles, vibrate at different frequencies. And the way that I like to think about it is, if your body is having this perceived negative emotion, if let's say we're feeling the frequency and the vibration of anger from an experience that's happened, and that experience hasn't been processed by the brain or by the body, say somebody is making you internally rage and there is no way for you to release that rage because, you've been taught to be a good girl and you don't want to yell and you don't want to scream or you don't want to seem like a psycho. So you push that anger down. Where does it go? The question that haunted me for so long. Where does it go? When you don't feel it and you don't experience it, does it just disappear? And for a really long time, I thought that it must just disappear, until I understood that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It's always moving and it's always being repurposed. And so if that energy isn't leaving your body, where it's going is it's being stored, and it's being stored in different areas of your body. And so when people say, where does this physical pain come from and does it relate? It's quite often the emotions that you're unwilling to feel, and it's being stored in these different areas of your body to basically, like from this is my personal opinion and perspective, is that it's being stored there to remind you that you have something to be angry about. It's being stored there to remind you that you have something to be sad about. And pain is a signal that it's time to heal. We often take like pain and negative emotions as a sign that something's wrong. And yeah, it is a sign that something's wrong, but it's also a sign that something needs to be addressed. Because if you think about it, without emotion, how are we supposed to know that anything is right or wrong for us? If we didn't have these emotions to signal to us how we're feeling, if somebody was being rude to us all the time and we didn't have this response of like anger or, why are they speaking to me like that, or this frustration, we would just be copying things from everybody all the time, their negative energies, and we wouldn't have any reaction to it. We wouldn't have any understanding of like, this feels good, this feels bad. Everything would be neutral and we would be emotionless. We'd be completely open. So your emotions and this fear and this anger and this rage and these feelings that you're having are showing you that either somebody's behavior or a situation or something that's happened in the past doesn't feel good for you. It's not right for you, or that it shouldn't have happened to you. And it makes you feel so that you address the situation. And the way that I like to think about it is love and joy and freedom and all of those good emotions tell you to move towards something. This feels good, I want to move towards it. That feels good, I want more of that. That person feels good, that place feels good, this job, whatever it is, that makes me feel good and I want to move towards it. Love makes you move towards things. Fear pulls you away from things. And really, anger, sadness, grief, guilt, shame, all of those emotions are coming from an underlying fear. And so they're telling you, I don't want this. I don't want this thing. I want to move away from this thing. And if you ignore those signals for long enough, your body will scream at you to address them. Because emotionally, if you say, oh, it's fine that Bob talks to me like that every week. It's fine that he has that tone and it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect me. But inside, you're going, oh, and there's this rage that's not coming out, you're not changing anything. The anger is there to say, hey, hold on a minute. Bob needs to get the flick. Bob needs to be cut out of your life. If you're not addressing the emotion and the signal that it's giving to you, then you're not changing anything. And if you're not changing anything, you're staying stuck. And the energy stays stuck, and you stay stuck, and life stays stuck. So I like to think of the pain as an emotional message. What's the feeling that I haven't been feeling? What's the words that I haven't been speaking? What's those feelings and those words that I haven't been able to get up and out? What are they trying to tell me about my life, about where something's gone wrong, about where I've gone wrong, about where things have gone wrong? What's the message that they're trying to give me? And I see this time and time again with women that I've worked with over the last however many years. Time and time again, they say, I've had this neck pain. And it's like, well, who's the pain in your neck? It's like my husband, or, my boyfriend, or, this friend that I've got. And we're like, okay, and what's the pain in your neck telling you? And it's like, I feel stuck. It feels like it's locking me up and I feel like I can't move. Okay, well, where do you feel like that in life? In the relationship? What's the things that you want to say? I fucking hate you, and I hate this, and you make me feel small and powerless and blah, blah, blah. And we get these words out, and they end up addressing and recognizing why the pain was there. And then they leave the relationship, and all of a sudden they don't have neck pain anymore. All of a sudden they don't have migraines. All of a sudden, all of these health issues that they're having, or these like physical pains, disappear because they addressed it, because they looked at it, because they went, oh, hold on. There's this message here in this pain, and I'm actually going to do something about it by one, feeling it, by one, actually just acknowledging it. Okay, hi, there's pain there. I acknowledge there's pain there. What is it trying to tell me? What is it trying to show me? What is it trying to make me feel? And what is it trying to make me do? Once we actually do that, it's like, okay, now we can start to move it. And when you start to ask those questions, and you start to work with somebody who's working with your subconscious and your body, by asking that question and tuning into that pain, you're shifting that energy. Every time you say the words that you pushed down, those words are leaving you, and the energy that makes up those words is leaving you. And when you do this in a subconscious state, when you do this when you're in a hypnotic-like state or a theta brainwave, you're telling your brain that that really happened, that you got to say those words, and you're reprogramming your subconscious mind. And when you're reprogramming your subconscious mind, you're actually really reprogramming the chemistry of your body as well, your biology, because you're saying, I'm weak and I'm pathetic, and that makes you feel weak and pathetic. And your body manufactures the chemicals that relate to these bad emotions and these bad feelings. Like, if you're feeling weak and pathetic, you're going to be releasing, when you're having those thoughts, some levels of like cortisol, and your body's going to be manufacturing these chemicals that say we're bad and life is bad, and you're going to be causing inflammation in your body. All of a sudden, if you reprogram your subconscious mind, you shift the energy, you purge those past emotions and you move them out of your body. One, you've got space to bring in something new, which is a more positive vibration with more positive words, because words have their own vibration, beliefs have their own vibration, and so do emotions. You're removing all of these lower frequencies and you're bringing in the positive. And all of a sudden, those positive thoughts create positive feel-good hormones and positive feel-good chemicals in your body. And all of a sudden, you've got dopamine and you've got these different hormones and things happening in your body that starts to reduce inflammation and starts to fight disease and starts to detox your body, because the positive thoughts create a positive blood chemistry. And this has been scientifically proven. And so what a lot of people think is like, oh, if I just think really positive thoughts, then I'll get like really positive experiences and I will create a good blood chemistry and lower my inflammation, and I'll be in good health because I'm thinking positively. But thinking positively all the time isn't the same as actually doing the work, because you actually need to change it at a subconscious level, because there's a difference between feeling negative and feeling like an awful piece of shit and thinking, no, I'm beautiful. when really underneath there's this guilt and disgust and grief and pain. You can't override that. You've actually got to feel that, and you've got to go, why do I believe that about myself, and where does that come from? And you've got to actually start to dive in and shift and move it before you can then move into the positive and replace it with the positive. So you can't override it. Otherwise you will, and I am telling you this honestly from self-confessed, like I could tell my brain over and over, everything's good, I'm fine, keep going, life is good, life's amazing, look how beautiful life is. But I wasn't feeling any of the uncomfortable panic and guilt and shame that was coming up. And it catches up with you in a very big way. So you have to be really honest about where you're at instead of pretending that you're okay, because that's a very different thing. So I had a student of mine this morning ask me, how can doing this work affect us on like a cellular level, and how can it affect our health? And at the end of the day, if you think about it, if we're made up of that energy, every single cell in our body, then as we change our subconscious beliefs, as we heal and process those memories, as we feel and experience and shift those emotions, like I like to think of it as like when I say the words I didn't get to say out loud, and when I get to reprogram and visualize things in my mind, that I get to play things out that I didn't get to do. And when I actually express emotion, like when I let sounds out, to cry, to scream, to say fuck you really loud into a pillow, when those sounds and all of that comes out, I visualize that like coming out of my body. Like I can see it and feel it and know that those emotions are coming up, and I can feel them, and it's like word vomit coming up, and then they leave my body, and that energy moves and transforms, and it goes out into the field, and it goes to wherever it needs to go to, but it leaves you. And this is what's happening at an energetic level. But on a cellular level, as I mentioned, like once we start to believe different thoughts, our body and our blood creates a different chemistry, which results in health. It's not like we have to even focus on it. It's just a byproduct of actually changing our subconscious, actually changing our identity, who we believe we are, and actually processing these memories as well. Because if you think about it, if you have these traumatic memories that are constantly causing flashbacks or triggers, every time you see somebody, or every time you see something or somebody that has something that you want, or somebody who is doing something that you used to do, or you go to a place that reminds you of something, like every time you're triggered and you have that response come up in your body, that's literally taking you back into the past, for one, but it's also creating this chemistry in your body of like, we're stuck. We're in fight or flight, like our body's going back in there, our nervous system's dysregulated, and all of a sudden, every single cell in our body is going into chaos, because it's like we're back there in that moment. The threat is very real right now. And so I often see women who are like, they're like, oh, I'm doing the nervous system regulation for this, and I'm doing this for hypnotherapy for this, and I'm trying to do healthy eating, I'm trying to do this, but they're like, or they're just doing one thing, like they're going to the naturopath, but they're not actually working on their mind. It's like, you're not going to create a healthy body when you have an unhealthy mind, and when you have emotions and unprocessed trauma that's in your body. Like, it's impossible. You just don't move forward, because like one of the other like really physiological things that happens is that when you're in chronic stress, so if you're having triggers all the time and you're stressed all the time, and your trauma is causing flashbacks and bringing you into a state of fight or flight all the time, your immune system is actually suppressed. Every time you go into a stressed state that is beyond what your body can tolerate, so every time you get worked up, your immune system is shut down. It switches off, and it switches off because it needs to send all of the blood to your legs so that you can run away from the threat. And it doesn't know that your boss telling you to do some tasks, or that your partner telling you that they, they don't like something that you said the other day, or your body doesn't know that those aren't life-threatening situations, because over time we've been programmed to think that they are life-threatening situations. And so our bodies, it's almost like our bodies haven't upgraded to like the way that we're living now. Like we have these primal bodies that were designed for thousands of years ago. And now we've got all of these like modern day problems and our bodies are just in constant chaos. But if you're constantly stressing, you're creating cortisol and your body is being pumped with cortisol, which is highly inflammatory, and your immune system's shut down so that you can run from the invisible threat. And all of a sudden, your body can't detox the amount of cortisol that's pumping through your body. And all of a sudden, your immune system can't fight off any sort of bacteria or any viruses that would potentially just be easy for your body to fight. All of a sudden, they take over your body. And all of a sudden, you're getting more run down and more sick and you're feeling worse. And it's just this huge, vicious spiral. And so I remember I've been health obsessed since, like, probably not as obsessed as healing, but definitely health obsessed since I was probably 19 or 20. Like if there's a health supplement, I've tried it. If there's a green smoothie recipe, I've done it. Like I've been through very intensely researching about nutrition, and I was doing all of the right things for so many years, and my body just I used to say, it's like my body isn't absorbing any of the goodness that I'm putting into it. Like it didn't matter what supplements I took or how well I ate and how nourishing I ate. My body just got rid of it. Like my body just wouldn't hold it and absorb it. And I looked malnourished and tired and run down and just unhealthy all the time. And I didn't have any energy. I didn't feel good. And I'm like, what the heck is happening? I'm doing all the right things for my body and I'm not feeling any better. And it was because my body was constantly fighting an invisible threat. My inflammation was high. My immune system was shut down. My body was just living in survival mode because my mind thought that there was threats that were still coming, because my mind wasn't able to manufacture a situation or a body that could absorb everything. And so I know so many women who health, like do all the right things, and then all of a sudden they start to regulate their nervous system and heal their trauma, and then they're like, whoa, now I feel good, because you just can't do one without the other. Like I would even go as far as to argue that if you have like a really strong, healthy mind and you have really good thoughts, that it actually really doesn't matter that much. I'm probably going to get taken down for this, but like it really doesn't really matter that much what you're eating, because I know people who have a really poor diet but a really positive, vibrant lifestyle and mindset, and they're just not worried about anything, and they're like some of the healthiest people I know. So I think that the people often who are like thinking, what's this pain and what's that pain and why is this here and I need to eat healthy and I should eat this and I should eat that, they're stressing about it, and they're stressing and then they're making themselves even more sick. So I think that like really ties into that emotional pain, physical pain too, because the reason you're having the physical pain is because you haven't addressed the emotional pain of your stress, of the amount of stress that you're feeling and experiencing every single day. When I was married to my ex-husband and I had headaches and neck pain so often, and I remember just like I did everything that I could to try and get rid of this neck pain and this physical pain. And I also was having issues like with my sinuses. And I remember looking up the definitions. There's this really good book called The Secret Language of Your Body. And you can basically look up like any part of your body and any like disease, and it will tell you the emotional connection. So it was a lady who worked, she did energetic work, but she worked with physical problems. So she would uncover the energetic or emotional problem linked to a physical problem. And over like a couple of decades, she wrote this like guide, which is just, it's so accurate. I use it with my clients all the time. It's very, very accurate. And I looked up this book, and there was a similarity across like sort of the area of the neck, the sinuses, like every physical problem that I was having that I'd had for a decade that I just could not kick no matter what I did, was all linking back to this specific person in your life that wasn't aligned. And that was, that just wasn't aligned. And I knew that it was him, but I didn't want to admit that it was him. And, even looking back now, I've had conversations with him and he's like, yeah, we weren't good for each other at all. But once I realized that it was him and we got a divorce and we separated, that pain disappeared because it was him. It was knowing that he wasn't right for me. It was having him in my life. And it was obviously a really difficult time and a really difficult thing to do. But that pain was showing me that I wasn't where I was supposed to be. That pain was showing me that there were things that in that relationship that were constantly triggering me back into my past trauma. And there were ways there were ways that he treated me or things that he did that felt like my father. Not saying that he is like my father, but things that he would say or ways that he would be that would remind me of my father, that was just these constant triggers and reminders of the way that I was treated. And it constantly made me question whether I deserved to be treated like that. And so once I realized very deeply that I didn't deserve to be treated like that, and I left and I listened to my body and I listened to that pain and I left that relationship. And, more on the body as well. It took me a long time to realize that he was the source of this pain. And it was only when I started working with my body and I started asking my body what it needed and what it wanted that I actually fully realized that this wasn't the relationship for me. And what I mean when I say that is I used to go around in circles. I filled journals with pros and cons and is he right for me? Is he not right for me? Is this a right relationship? I don't know. Do I love him? Do I hate him? Going in circles all the time, trying to figure out, should I stay? Should I go? Is it the right relationship? And what shifted for me was when I asked my body, your body is so black and white. It's not spinning in circles. It's black and white. And it's do I feel safe around him? No. Is he right for me? No. My body was just absolutely not. Get me away from him. And my body would lock up and tense up. And I realized that every time I would hear his car come in the driveway, my fists would clench and my jaw would clench and my body would lock up. And I'd be like, hi, how are you today? But every cell in my body was locking up tight. And of course I was getting neck pain. Of course I was getting neck pain when everything was clenched when I was around him all the time. And so my body was showing me that it didn't feel safe around him, but my mind, I could hack my mind oh no, he's fine, he's safe, he's a good husband, he does this, he does that, and but I sort of also hate him and he treats me like shit, but he does good things. And I could go in circles forever. I did for 11 years, but soon as I asked my body showed me pain. He's the cause of the pain. You're tight, you're locked up, he doesn't feel safe, get out of here. And that sounds very blunt, but it was a really big awakening for me because the body just doesn't lie. And it can't lie the way that your mind does. Your mind can play tricks on you. Your mind can take you down all different sorts of paths with different thoughts, and it can come from triggers and past emotions, and you can project past things onto current partners. The body just doesn't lie. So if you're in this situation, if you're relating, and if you're sitting here thinking, okay, my body's been showing me, ask your body and it will show you. Ask it to show you what the cause of that pain is and where that pain's coming from. What happens when we ignore these signals from the body is that they get louder and louder. And, there's been so many times in my life where I've ignored those signals, even just the simple signal of being tired. We feel a little bit tired and we think, oh, I'm lazy. I need to push through. I've got so much work to do. What's wrong with me? Why am I tired? Instead of going, I'm tired because I'm tired. I'm tired because my body needs to rest. Women especially ignore the tired one pretty easily to push through. And we've just been programmed to ignore our bodies as well. I think, even as kids, we might have a sore tummy and our parents oh, it's okay, you're just nervous, or, oh, you'll be right, go to school, or, or we might say to our parents, I'm full, my tummy's full. No, you've got to finish your dinner. We've taught in so many little micro ways to not listen to our bodies. And so when we disconnect from that, we disconnect from actually understanding that the pain is a signal. And personally believe that so much disease that we experience in our lives and that people experience in their lives is this pain that they've ignored. And sometimes I don't even think, like, this is a little bit woo-woo, but sometimes I don't even know if it's their pain. Sometimes I feel like it's the pain of generations that's been passed down. And, you know, this to me, because I've never been able to understand how, like, children can have disease when they've not had so much pain, like they're only so young. But sometimes I think we pass that pain through generations and it builds up over time. But I feel like when we ignore that pain, it gets louder and louder. And I think the reason that it does this is because it wants to be seen. It wants to be felt. It wants to heal. Like, I truly believe that our bodies are very intelligent and that they want to heal. Like, it wants to show you what's wrong so that you can survive, so that you can heal, and so that you can live. And the pain gets louder and louder, and the messages get louder and louder from the body the more that you ignore it. And, you know, I know so many people who end up knocked down with, like, really nasty diseases because they didn't listen when their body said they were tired, and then they didn't listen when their body had inflammation, and then they didn't listen when, you know, they started to experience physical pain, and then they didn't listen when, and, you know, there's often people that get really sick go, yeah, my body was like screaming out for help for quite some time and I didn't listen. Or I knew, looking back now, I see that there were signs. And it's like, the reason that we don't see those signs is because we've been told to ignore our bodies, and because we've been told that the physical pain that we feel doesn't have anything to do with anything. It's like, oh, you got a bad back? That's just potluck. You've got this disease in your knee? It's just the luck of the draw, you know? Some people get disease, some people don't. Whereas I feel like often there can be lessons, there can be meaning, there can be emotions behind the pain, there can be emotions behind the dis-ease of the cells. And obviously, like, this can't explain everything. This can't explain every disease that every person has and every feeling that every person has. But I do believe that if we tune into that pain, and if we start learning how to tune into our bodies from the get-go, like, not when we just have pain, but like tuning into our bodies every day. Like, I've begun practicing, because to be honest, I wasn't tuned into my body for the last, 35 years. Is that how old I am? I go through phases where I tune into my body and tune into my pain, and I do all the work, and then I forget about it and I get busy again in life. And I've recently picked up this practice again of sitting down or laying down, whatever feels good. And I put on some music and I scan my body. Where am I feeling tight? Where am I feeling tension? And how does my body want to move? And is there emotion behind that? Or is it just like some physical discomfort? Is there a way that my body wants to move? Is there something my body wants to say? And I make the intentional effort to get into my body, to ask my body what it needs, and to listen to it, because we are just, as I said, so programmed to ignore it and forget about it and push it down and just keep going. And it doesn't serve us at all. If you think about the nervous system is designed it touches every part of your body. And, you know, the nerves are communicating with your body what we need to be doing. Do we need to be moving towards or away? Are we in a flow state? Are we chill? Are we just moving about life and experiencing life with joy? Or are we needing to run? Or are we needing to hide? Or are we needing to play dead? Basically, your nervous system is pretty simple. It's like, are we chill? Are we running? Are we fighting? Or are we pretending to play dead? And, you know, the fight and flight response is your sympathetic activation. And that's like your protection. That's like, we need to protect ourselves. And there's the two ways we can protect ourselves. We can fight back, we can yell, we can scream, we can punch, we can kick, or we can run. Both of those require all of the blood, as I mentioned earlier, in our arms and legs so that we can either run or we can fight. We need full force and strength there. So again, that's taking it all away from your vital organs, from your heart, from your lungs, from your digestive system. It's like, we don't need any of that. We just need our arms and legs to get away. Same with running away. We need all of the blood in our legs to be able to run away. But what also can happen is the freeze response. And the freeze response is playing dead. And if you think about it, if you're playing dead for a long extended period of time, which is what dissociation is, like chronic dissociation, everything in your body becomes slow and sluggish and cold almost, because we're in this like frozen state and we don't have this like energy and vitality that we do when we're in the flow state. So when you think about pain and the nervous system, it's like if your nervous system's constantly telling your body that it needs to run or fight or play dead, it's not living in an optimal state. It's not doing what it needs to do in order to flourish and thrive. It's just doing what it needs to do in order to survive. And so what happens then is that over long periods of time of being in this like chronic stress state or frozen state, our bodies start to experience pain as things in your body aren't getting what they need to get in order to thrive. Like we're not getting enough blood and enough like positive, good feel good hormones and balance in our blood chemistry if we're always in survival. So we start to experience pain and issues when we're stuck in that state, because the most common issues in women are autoimmune diseases. And there's so many autoimmune diseases that fall under the category of an autoimmune disease. There's so many different manifestations of that, but we know now that all autoimmune is linked back to high inflammation markers. And we have high inflammation markers when our body is constantly in a survival state. So the state of your nervous system influences your pain because it's a manifestation of your mind. It's a manifestation of your implicit memory. And your implicit memory is the memories that your body has about what it's happened to it. And so if you had an accident on a bike, every time you see a bike or every time you ride a bike, your body remembers the pain of that accident if you haven't correctly processed it. And all of a sudden, your body's going through the same state, it's going through the same feelings, and that pain is never actually processed. Your brain is constantly telling your body, we're not safe right now. There's a bike, we're not safe. Fire off the alarms, put us into fight or flight, send out the stress hormones like ding, ding, ring the amygdala, put us into a stressful state, create that negative, or like not ideal chemical situation with your cortisol. All of a sudden, your body is starting to deteriorate and you're starting to experience pain because the pain hasn't left your body and the pain of the experience hasn't left your body. As soon as the pain of the experience has left your body via processing the memory with your body and with your subconscious mind, once that pain has left your body, you don't need to keep re-experiencing it. It's left you. And I think that what happens over time as well is the more that we unconsciously recall a memory, we have the memory playing over in our minds. And maybe it's not in our actual thoughts, but it's playing over in the back of our minds over and over and over. We're creating that same pain over and over and over. And if you think about it, the original pain was probably big enough as it is because your brain thought that it was important enough to store as a trauma. So you've got this physical original pain, and then every time you remember it, it's bringing that pain up and it's adding to it. And this is why the body, it starts to yell at you and then it starts to scream at you because all of a sudden you had this memory where you had panic, but every time you remember it, you're adding to the panic and you're adding to it until you have so much emotion that there's nothing that you can do with it. That's your body screaming at you with the pain, with the panic, with the physical symptoms to get you to address the trauma. So if you can relate, I want you to, this is why I've created the clinic as well. All of the women in the online trauma clinic can help you to use your physical pain to identify what the trauma is behind it. They're trained in this. You don't even need to know how to do this yourself. They can teach you how to do this. They can help you through this, as well as Triggered to Thriving program. So I have the Triggered to Thriving program where you can go through and there's body scans in there. There's ways for you to understand how this manifests, where it manifests. There's journal prompts. The whole program is designed to help you to uncover everything that you need to uncover. So if you have enjoyed listening to this episode, please rate it, comment, subscribe. All of those things really help me to keep the podcast going for free. And I will see you on the next episode.